I'm going to have Jesse next talk about your plans and anything that we can talk about as far as research.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Hi, everybody. I'm Jessie. I've seen a lot of your faces and met a lot of you in breakout groups over the last Just for Now season. I think I got to attend one of the last in-person trainings in Santa Monica right before COVID, hoping to come back in the spring. And I have the opportunity to right now so I have a private practice in Northern California, and I work primarily with all age children, but I specialize in middle school and high school students. And I started using Violet's model when I worked in foster care, 30 years ago. And I took a break to raise my kids and came back and opened my practice and immediately gravitated right back to Violet's model and started going to trainings and joined Just for Now. And I found that it was so applicable, as all of you know, across so many ages, especially for adolescents. And then I decided this last year during COVID to get my doctorate in social work. And I have a master's in social work, and the doctorate is the terminal degree. So it's a 3-year program at the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia, and it's an online program. And as part of that, I get to write a dissertation. And so I'm the first semester in, just so you all know that. It's a 3-year program. And I immediately started thinking about the Oaklander model and Gestalt play therapy. And I thought, I really want to see if there's a way, I'm still exploring, if there's a way that I can elevate Violet's work and the Oaklander model and Gestalt play therapy to a research level. And so I started doing some research on my own. And I found that, as most of you probably know, there is not a whole lot of Gestalt play therapy research that's been done in the United States. There's been some research that's been done in other countries. There have been fabulous books written by Violet herself and Peter Martola and others. I had the honor of speaking to Karen. Thank you for your support. And I also had a great hour-long conversation with Peter where we both kind of were geeking out over the research possibilities with this. And I have also reached out to my program because one of the things that I think makes Violet's model so incredible is how replicable it is across countries. And so one idea I had that I'd spoken to Karen about was connecting with everyone in different countries to find out what it is about this model that is so applicable across such a far-ranging place. And then I learned that it can sometimes be challenging to get approval in different countries to conduct research there. So I am in the process of reaching out to the person in control at the University of Pennsylvania about that, to see if that's possible, that I could actually conduct research in different countries. But if not, I feel like there's definitely a need to conduct the research just within the United States. And so that's a little bit about my background. I have some questions. Can I paste them in the chat, Karen? Is that okay?
By all means.
Let's see if this works. Okay. I just I tried to put a Google poll together, and I'm not very tech savvy, so I didn't do that. So I just put these questions down, which is, and feel free to just write your answers in here, or you can, I'm going to put my email on here.
And I can, the Just for Now mailing list is, I think it's 900 people now. So I will include these in my next email. So if you don't mind emailing these to me also.
Oh, that's not a problem. And so what I'm trying to find out right now, I am very much in an exploratory phase. I had this wonderful talk with Peter Martola, and he's also said that he would be a support in this. He's also kind of done some research, looking at the model and looking at the clinicians who use Violet's model. There's so many different ways to go with a research model. And I've thought about, how it's applicable to adolescents, how it's applicable in treating trauma, there's so much more information coming out about the brain and how trauma is treated in the brain. And I think Seema might be talking a little bit about that today, but looking at the right brain approach in Violet's work and how that really helps alleviate symptoms of trauma in particular. So there's so many different ways to go with this. So I tried to develop kind of broad questions, asking kind of the age of children you treat, the symptoms that you most often use this model to treat, whether or not you treat trauma specifically, have you yourself conducted research? And what I would love to do next is for anyone who's interested in sharing ideas with me, or maybe are already doing their own research, sharing your email with me, and I can set up a Zoom meeting and we can talk more in depth. I have until the spring to put together a proposal. And so I'm really looking at the next couple of months as a way of gathering information from all of you amazing clinicians that I've met over the last 2 years. And anyone can be involved in this part. And I'm still, whatever country you're in, the piece that I'm still waiting to hear on is whether I can conduct the research out of the country or not. Does anyone have any questions? Or anyone have any thoughts? Is anyone doing any research on their own? Is anyone interested in doing any research?
Yeah, I'll be happy to share what I do, Jessie. I'm happy to answer those questions. I'll email you.
Thank you so much, Seema. I would love to hear. I've loved watching your workshops, so thank you.
Jessie?
Yes.
The IAAGT, which is the International Association for the Advancement of Gestalt Therapy, they have a research interest group and a conference, and it's obviously an international organization. So I can put you in touch with some people there just to get more information about how they do what they do. And there's not a focus on children in that group, but they could help you probably understand the international networking piece of it better.
Thank you. That's fantastic. I think I was so motivated to do this partly because when I had to conduct my own research for papers I'm writing, really the only play therapy model that's been well researched is more the child-centered play therapy model. And I know that when I've spoken to colleagues who work more in treatment facilities, I just was in a breakout group with one. A lot of times different models are only approved in the United States through managed care models. So for example, a CBT model is more often approved because my thinking is if we could develop a Gestalt play therapy, if we could put together some research and have it published, maybe we could elevate it to a place where it's more likely to be used in a different managed care facilities and hospital settings around the country, because I don't know that that's going on right now. Yeah. Because of how our medical system set up here in the States. And I think it's probably very different in other countries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I will say that in 2011, when I did my doctorate and the dissertation, it was a clinical program only, not research-based. And my dissertation was a case study on something I had already done. So it wasn't like I was proposing to do this. I had done it. And my advisor, who knew Violet, loved Violet, turned on me basically after I had written about half of it, half of my dissertation, and said, well, why wouldn't you use CBT? Because that is evidence-based. And so I had to write, which I'll share with you, basically a piece on justifying the Oaklander model at the time. And it's a pretty, I have to say, I'm proud of it. But I had to justify it because it isn't evidence-based. And I had to go through several people at the school in order to get approved for what I had already done, which everyone else was doing. I was one of the few people that even worked with a child case. So to me, it seems like a wonderful endeavor. And it's not to put down another model, it's just to add to the field. in such a valuable way. So I don't say anything disparaging about what he wanted me to focus on at all. It's just that I was adding. And I think there's, of course, room for that on behalf of children. And we know that this is a helpful model. So you have my full support.
Thank you.
Any other thoughts or questions? Anyone doing this already?
Well, I'm not actually doing research on my own, but there's a few people in Italy in our community which is right now doing some work about it, especially in school psychology and in oncological cares. So we can share our contact if you want, and I can help you to be in contact with the colleagues that are actually doing the work with pleasure.
Thank you so much. I also reached out, there's a woman in South Africa that I found who wrote her entire dissertation on this model and wasn't able to get it published. And she had also emailed me back. So I've been trying to find people who've written anything like you were saying, Karen, there are other people around the world and we haven't quite been able to get it to an evidence-based practice model. So that would be my goal. If I can figure out how to get there, I will get us there. So, yeah.
But you won't do it alone. You don't have to.
No, I feel like it takes a village.
Right? We have one of my jobs after college was working for Marshall McLuhan's daughter. And anyone who hasn't heard of him, I understand, because it's a long time since he wrote his work. He coined the term global village and talked about how because of technology, our world is going to get smaller. And this was even before CNN. So he really was sort of prophetic. And here we are talking about an endeavor that could involve all of us as a global village, as a call like this is. So this is like a perfect example of how this is a good use of this. So thanks, Jessie. And
thank you all.
Very exciting what you're doing. And we'll look forward to hearing more. And it looks like you got a lot of emails in the chat that you can put together. So we'll have updates from you